Hi, we are the DeAquinos.
Hello.
All the way from Denver, Colorado. We are excited to be able to speak with you guys tonight on a topic that God has really transformed in our lives over the last several years. And it's just neat that we get to connect with the New England churches.
Yeah.
Our family is, we've been married, first of all, for 11 years, and we have had 4 kids in those 11 years. We have a 9-year-old, 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old.
All currently sleeping right now.
Yes, and the topic that we're speaking on is peace, but creating, and maintaining rhythms in your family, which honestly leads to and creates peace in our life.
That's right. You know, for a long time in our family, in our marriage, I feel like the one word that would describe us is inconsistent. I feel like for probably 4 or 5 years straight, I would have this New Year's resolution word. You know, we all kind of have a word that we focus on every year. And for 4 or 5 years, it was consistent. Yeah. I think that was probably the only thing that was consistent, that I had the same word every single year for that long. I wanted to be a person who was consistent, a man who was consistent. I wanted to have a family that was consistent, and but yet I think that was not what we were at all. I think we would always have this like attempt to want to do something, and we would like, yeah, you know what, let's have family dinners. And we would do that. We'd have family dinners for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then we would not have them consistently.
Yeah.
Right. And then, or we're going to have family devos or whatever it may be. You know, we're going to exercise. We're going to go on a date with each other. But because of our hurried lifestyle, I think we would just, all that stuff would be kind of thrown out of whack, and we'd be back to this inconsistent lifestyle.
Right.
And I think a lot of it had to do with just the fact that our pace was just too fast. I really felt almost out of control. Like, can I just have a week where I felt in control, where I didn't feel hurry, or I wasn't just living reactionary, you know, and I just wanted to be proactive for once. And that was really a lot of my life, even our lives as a married couple and as a family. I did not feel peace in any way. If anything, I felt just chaos. There was just a life of chaos. So constantly feeling overwhelmed or burnt out, tired. That was kind of my normal state of being. So I think even at one point, this all came to a head when I started feeling, experiencing panic attacks and anxiety attacks. And I knew something was wrong, because even my body was telling me.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I think our life felt like we were constantly playing catch up, or just not feeling like we were on top of it. We're in survival mode, and I think our family felt it. Obviously, he felt it in a very physical way. We felt it, though, like our kids felt it, and we just knew that there has to be a better way. There's no way we can function this way long term.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at the scriptures, we know in 1 Corinthians 14, verse 33, it says that God is not a God of disorder, but of peace. And, you know, you look at that scripture and you're like, oh, I just want that. I want to be what God is, and what God created us to be, a people of peace and not of disorder, where there's chaos all the time. But that's what we were doing for a long time. Until a few years back. It's been now almost 4 or 5 years that we've just began learning about this idea of rhythms and how we can have order in our life. And it started with us studying out Genesis chapter 1. And, you know, in Genesis chapter 1, you know, we read it, and I don't know if you know, for a long time, I would read this and I'm like, okay, is this how God created the world? Is this what this is all about? You know, the type of world that he created and how he created it. But in a lot of ways, God was actually showing us that there is a rhythm to creation. That rhythm is woven in the fabric of the universe. He's essentially given us a blueprint on how to be in sync with him and how to live a sacred rhythm of peace. And as we studied that out, it really opened up our eyes. It started And honestly, what we realize is that God, he has given us this precious gift. One of his greatest gifts that he's given us is a 7-day week. You're like, that's the greatest gift that God has given us? Yeah, I mean, it really is, because even if you do an in-depth study on the book of Genesis, in Genesis 1, 2, and 3, it's crazy to see how often the number 7 shows up. It's like this word was said 7 times in these paragraphs. There's 7 paragraphs. It's kind of crazy, but God is actually trying to tell us something, that there is a rhythm to creation. Right. There's and if we want to have this sacred peace, this holy peace that he's offering us, we too have to get in step with this rhythm. And so, it starts off, we see kind of 3 main rhythms that God shows us. And the first one is daily. There's a daily rhythm. It says, and there was evening and there was morning the first day. This is Genesis chapter 1. And there was evening and there was morning the second day. Mm-hmm. And there was evening and morning the third day, and so on and so on. So there was a daily rhythm. And obviously within 7 days at that framework, and it repeated itself over and over again. God was putting some order into creation. Then he goes into the weekly rhythm. It says this in Genesis chapter 2, and on the 7th day, God finished his work that he had done, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work. God blessed the 7th day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all his work he had done in creation. He put a button at the end, he buttoned it up, he put a ribbon on it, and he said, all right, we're done. We're going to keep doing this every week, a 7-day week. And then we see in Scripture also a yearly rhythm. And if you have a minute, obviously go to and look this up in Leviticus 23. If you read just a whole chapter, you'll see that there are these yearly rhythms that God has put into his in the order of his people as well. He kind of mandated for biblical holidays and a few other things to be done on a yearly basis. And so there. And so you'll see from Leviticus 23 that there is also a yearly rhythm too. I like to think about it this way. If you go dancing with somebody, you obviously, you have to stay on rhythm. You don't want to step on anybody's toes. You want to be able to dance with them. And in a lot of ways, God is inviting the universe, his people and everything in it, to dance with him. And if we want to tango with God, if we want to dance with God, we must learn the rhythm in which he is dancing. And again, like I said, for a long time, I felt like we were kind of offbeat. God was trying to do something and we were doing something else. And I think there was a reason why we didn't feel that peace, is because we were not in rhythm with God. We weren't dancing with God. We're honestly dancing to our own rhythms and our own music which brought us a lot of chaos. And so the first step in getting in rhythm is finding that cadence or that tempo or that timing that God has already created in his word and in the universe. Right. And so living within that framework of that 7-day week and the days and the weeks and the years is what we have learned. And that's one of the biggest things that have brought us peace and we find important. I think another way to put it too is that these as we started to work within these frameworks, days, weeks, and years, we started to put in things in those times that we kind of followed on repeat. We had these rhythms, and they became anchors in our lives that kind of grounded us. When it just grounded us, like we had finally something that you think about an anchor in a boat. Like we weren't getting blown away to different places in our lives. We were staying grounded in what we wanted. Yeah. And so when these occasional kind of disruptions in our life, whether it's like a sickness, or maybe there was a vacation, or just anything that happens, we can actually get back on track quickly because of some of those rhythms and anchors we had in place.
Yeah. So for you guys, you might be thinking, well, then how do we do this? What are some of the practicals? And it might help you guys to hear just even some of the daily, weekly, and yearly rhythms that over honestly the last 5 years that we've had to put in place. And what are those things? What should be a part of our family rhythms? And whether that's celebrations, times of rest, devos, For us, what we started with and what we really needed to get on the same page with was, what are our values? What are the things that we hold most important, our core identities as a family, as parents, things that we want to pass on to the next generation? We had to start with that vision to help create these yearly, monthly, weekly, daily rhythms in our life. So what are some of these daily rhythms? For us, obviously our personal quiet times. We have dinner every night with our children. We actually decided to do a different theme for dinner every night. Like Tuesday nights is Talk About Your History Tuesday. Yeah. So we do something different every night for dinner even. We have family worship with our kids. Bedtimes is something that we hold very near and dear to our family values. So we spend a lot of time at bedtime with our children, talking to them, like when their walls are down, getting to know them more, helping them, just listening to them. Right. Marriage time. Like this is something that we started doing probably, I want to say 6 or 7 years into our marriage, where we started spending every night talking. We started with 20 minutes and now we're at like an hour where we talk every night as a couple. We turn our phones off at 9:30 and turn our phones on in the morning at 8 or 8:30. Just things that we're trying to stick to in our family, in our daily life as rhythms. So one of our weekly rhythms, some of these weekly rhythms are the Sabbath. We take off a day every week. We use it to connect with God, connect with each other and our family. Rest, for sure, rest. Totally. Dates, whether it's dates with each other, dates with our children, that one-on-one time that we can connect. We have family night where we're able to enjoy times with one another, whether that's playing board games or watching movies. Hospitality, like Michael and I feel like we really try to go after in our neighborhood or in just in the church, like having people in our home. That's one of our family values. We want our kids to see what it's like to be hospitable. Mm-hmm. Our community group, we're a part of an amazing community group here in Denver. And small group Bible talk. Exactly. And that's something we meet with every Thursday night. We have a meeting. Michael calls it our coaches meeting. We're the coaches of our family, and we have to download. What is the week going to look like? How are our rhythms going? We go through our weekly schedule. Who's picking up who from where? We have all of our kids and their different activities in their life and how they fit in with our lives. And Sundays, for us to prepare for our Sabbath, we have chores on Sundays. And this is our favorite one. This is my favorite one. Because I want to go into my Sabbath really rested and not knowing that I have a bunch of stuff that I have to do. And Michael also has a council of dads. He meets with dads every week. And then our yearly rhythm, we celebrate a lot of holy days that celebrations we see in the Bible, such as Passover or Sukkot. Sukkot is one of our favorite holidays as a family to celebrate. I would look that up if you don't know what that is. It's so fun for our family. These are some of the ones that you'll find in Leviticus 23. There were the three main holidays or holy days that the Israelites were required to celebrate. So that's kind of one of our yearly rhythms of celebrating these holidays. Yeah, Pentecost is another one. We do family vacations. We do something called a family summit where we talk through our entire year as a whole. We do mission trips or father-son camping trips and mother-daughter trips. Those are just an idea of the types of rhythms that we have in place right now. Yeah. And of course, this is not something that just happened overnight. Again, for a long time, we struggle with consistency. But as we saw the power of, or even just what the Word of God was saying about cadence and rhythms, we really started to formulate a plan. And we honestly just started with having a weekly Sabbath. That's where we start. We're just going to start with one thing, and that's going to be a day where we truly don't work and we rest. And it was awesome because we did it 1 week, then we did it another week, and then we were doing it for 4, 5, 6 weeks, and all of a sudden
just this feeling of victory, of being consistent, empowered us. It gave us the courage to say, okay, let's add another thing. And so then we added another thing, and then one more thing as we saw consistency happen. And so these were things that didn't just all happen overnight, obviously. And of course, with all this, it really is what you desire, I think, or we know that just like the Sabbath was not, we were not made for the Sabbath, but Sabbath for us, right? I think I said it right. Rhythms in a lot of ways are made for us, not us for rhythms. Meaning, hey, we get to figure out what is life-giving to us. What's gonna create peace in the home, not be restrictive or something that just kind of creates an unhealthy family situation.
Yeah, and I think I like to look at it as like a live document, whether it's our Sabbath or honestly just our rhythms, that we always have to evaluate them. We have to come together and see what's working, what's not, and maybe what things do we need to tweak, and to see if we can do something to make it better for the future, for next year. And I think it's important for us to give ourselves a lot of grace, because I remember in the beginning of this, we just wanted to okay, what can we do all at once? Mm-hmm. But we were way more successful when we just did one little thing at a time. We gave ourselves a lot of grace, because I think during this process, it was very bumpy for us. But I think, like Michael said, when you find that victory, it does bring life into you, and you feel like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, and so, wrapping things up, we obviously, we have benefited greatly from learning how to have rhythms in our own lives. And we know what it's like to have chaos and disorder, and now we're beneficiaries of seeing what the Bible is saying about order and rhythms. And so we encourage you to truly consider this blueprint that God has given you, these days and these weeks and these years, and figuring out how to live in rhythm. I think in a lot of ways, in our world today, we all live like kind of linearly. We kind of just, we live for big moments, and big kind of bucket list moments, but we don't really live in a rhythm, where we do things over and over again. And so I'd encourage you to build these rhythms into your life, so that you don't feel, if you feel frantic, you feel chaos like we did, start implementing some of these rhythms, and you will find peace in your life if you do so. And I think the more you learn, the more we learn to steward our time, like I said, the days, the weeks, the years, the seasons, the more we will discover peace in the home. Yeah. What I like to call shalom in the home. And so we're so grateful to be able to speak with you guys today, and just to be able to connect with you on this topic. It's helped our family so much, and we hope it helps yours as well. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys.